What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Tell Mom podcast.
Hello, y'all. How you doing?
I am Cullen. This is my sister Britany.
What's up?
We're the brother-sister duo, and we are the podcast where everything goes. We're on episode 84.
84, Cullen.
Not missed a daggum week. That is insane.
I had a baby. We didn't miss a week.
I know. It's crazy.
But today we have an extra special show for y'all. So.
Yes. Somebody that is very, he is an expertise in babies, I would say.
And babies and plus. Yeah, YouTube, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, the Google Pluses back in the day, too. Yes, we have the one and only Tim the Slim Shady Shmoyer.
Hey, guys.
What's up,
I'm not
man?
the one and only, actually. I know a couple other Kim Shmoyers. So
what is
Google
up,
him,
man?
yeah.
Me and Tim go way back. This is crazy. This is fun. Just seeing your setup when we first logged on is just crazy. Just knowing what I know about you and where we started on all this, and just seeing the professionalism that it's transformed into, and the knowledge that you just exuberate from your
You look
well, thank you.
professional.
You do.
Real
You look
professional,
very
Tim.
set up. Versus our sheet hanging up behind us.
Oh, well, I just put stuff on the wall to cover up mine. So, yeah. Yeah, I was trying to figure out, when did we first connect?
Gosh.
Was it Vlogger Fair, or was it a VidCon, or was it a...
I don't remember. It all started like back in, it was probably the heyday, like in 2016, maybe way before that. Twitter.
No, I think it was before that. Yeah, I think it was like closer to 2013,
early.
maybe.
Yeah.
Because I started in 2006, started taking it seriously in 2010. When I don't know, it was sometime
crazy.
back.
Well, so tell us about yourself. How'd you get started? You had a family vlog channel, the Schmoodies.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so I was in graduate school down in Dallas, Texas. This was 2005. And I started this little blog. This is like pre-Facebook days. So I used a blog to kind of share with my family back home in Philadelphia what I was up to, what I was doing. I started dating this girl. And this thing called YouTube came along. I'm like, oh, I could like actually use this to introduce my girlfriend to my family back home. And so we made videos that are now known as vlogs, but back then that wasn't a word. That was just being awkward in public with a camera. Like we would just go out to eat, go out to the park, go out to movies or whatever, and just make these little videos, and I publish them on YouTube and then embed them into my blog so that my friends and family back home could watch them. But then I started noticing that other people on YouTube are watching them too. And if you remember, like, this is now MySpace days where you don't use your real name on the internet. If you did, like, people would hunt you down and kill you for some reason.
Right.
Yeah, right.
It's a username.
I was like, who is Catlicker72, and why do they keep commenting on my videos, And so I was like getting a little concerned and started asking other people, like, how are they finding me? Where are they coming from? Why do they keep coming back? Why, and no one back then knew any of the answers to those questions. I'm like, well, I'm going to figure this out. Mostly out of concern for my safety. And other people were like, we don't know either. And they started telling people, hey, this guy Tim Shmoyer is trying to figure it out. You have these questions, go talk to him. And so from the very kind of early beginning days of YouTube, it just kind of ended up on this quote unquote industry side, like before it was even like an industry. And long story short, since then we've done YouTube strategy now for Disney, Warner Brothers, eBay, Budweiser, HBO, like all these big brands all around the creators who are just starting out, and just helping them grow their platform to reach more people and change their lives. And there's now 8 people who work for me, and we got a small team around this, and it's been awesome. It's been quite a journey. Obviously, I skipped a lot. The biggest part being that I actually married my girlfriend.
The one that you were sending
the family
videos.
liked the video, right? They liked your YouTube video, and that's how you knew that she was in.
Yeah.
She was the one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we managed to have 7 kids in 8 years, and
oh my gosh,
live in Cincinnati, Ohio, with all of them. All of them, of course. Yeah, we didn't get rid of any of them. But yeah,
we left one on the way.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you started off these family vlogs or video blogs or whatever you want to call it, and now I see you've got the video creators logo tattooed on the mic there. what? That's really
that's your company
that's
that
been
you've
popping
created
off.
to help people get started in YouTube,
it was I started doing YouTube strategy for different agencies and things, and then I did it full time for a company here in Cincinnati. And when they kind of let that direction go, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do for myself what I've been teaching other people to do this whole time. And so I launched Video Creators. I started it, created the channel on January 2nd, 2013. And when my job ended on June 15th, 2013, I was like, I have 6 months to make this into a full-time income. And I did. 6 months. It was generating $10,000 a month. And now we've got 9 or 8 people on staff and doing all sorts of stuff.
Okay, so how'd you do that?
Okay, yeah, well, that's what I get paid to do. Yeah,
because I started with Cullen obviously inspired me to get started, and I might have like 5 subscribers if it wasn't for Cullen shouting me out on his channel and be like, look at her. That's like how that's the only way I know how to do it. But I know that like if you don't have somebody that's already got a name for themselves on YouTube. Like, if I didn't know Cullen and I wanted to start a channel, I don't think that I would have been able to get that many subscribers, obviously. Like, it's hard. A lot of people that I've talked to is like, yeah, I've tried a vlog, and, I have, 10 subscribers. Like, I can't really, nobody wants to subscribe to me. How do you...
Right.
I think that's what's the most intriguing about this video creators topic and channel is the growth that you had, or still currently have, during that time period where it was so saturated all of a sudden. I just remember it popping off, like your channel. It seems like it, I guess. Maybe I just wasn't as aware of it as you obviously were. But
it depends on what you mean by popping. It had when it was generating $10,000 a month, I only had 3,000 subscribers.
That's what, I guess subscriber numbers was popping off. It was like, dang, you're already up to 400,000.
Okay, so how did you make $10,000?
Yeah, well, because the mistake most people they make is they think that they think shout outs will help them grow, and sometimes they can if your content's good. But if you get a shout out and your content's still not good, people don't care. They still won't subscribe.
I was about to interrupt you and say that. Like I could shout you out every day, but it doesn't matter. You have you've been growing, but you have the personality and the relatable factor that people see, so that's good. But continue.
It doesn't
matter. So it's really most creators are really good at a business model being a real simple definition is that it is how the rationale for how you create, deliver, and capture value. Okay. And most creators are really good at creating and delivering value, but they're super passive when it comes to capturing value, whether it's just through AdSense or they just kind of wait for brand deals to come, or they're just like, well, now I have a Patreon or whatever. It's just they haven't really figured out what value they're actually offering, and so they don't really know what value to capture. They don't know how to sell that. So they kind of just assume that being popular somehow equals money. But I've worked with a lot of creators who have 6 million, 10 million subscriber channels, and they don't have enough income to hire anyone to help them. So it's in fact, I worked with one creator that had 1.5 million subscribers, and they were only making about $600 a month on their channel. So there's not a direct correlation between how big your audience is and how much. I know one guy on the other side, the guy we worked with, only had 2,000-ish subscribers, making over $2 million a year from his YouTube channel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
So it's really not about how big your audience is. It's about the value you're providing and the plan you have for capturing value, not just providing it.
Okay,
does that make sense?
So yeah, kind of, but it's that makes sense. But okay, I have 16,000 subscribers. No, I'm sorry, 18,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I would like to make $2 million a year.
Well, so this guy, what he was doing is he was an insurance agent, but stopped doing the normal insurance stuff. So he just started reviewing insurance plans on YouTube. And then he has what we might call an affiliate link, but for them it's a commission link. And then people are like, oh, I know this guy. I like this guy. I trust this guy. If this is the thing he's recommending, I'm going to go sign up for that insurance plan. And he just converts insurance plans all day long in his sleep. Right. So
smart.
So it's it's about how you capture value and the value you're providing. So the value you guys are providing.
Value.
Yeah.
I'm going to name your second kid Value.
Well, like, I have a question about that, because a lot of people, it seems like, and by a lot of people, I don't really know that many YouTubers or anything, but I'm thinking in my head, like, isn't it taboo to do a bunch of brand deals, and by capturing, does it take away from what your original goal was, which was to, like, for a family vlogger to put vlogs up every day about your family and your life? Well, if every one of those, if you're trying to capture the value by doing brand deals on all those videos, well, are you going to lose subscribers and people's interest because they're not as interested in listening to you talk about a brand as they were listening to you talk about your life, right? Like, how do you balance?
There's a couple answers to that. So one, let's just kind of first talk about the first level, which is people don't care if you do a brand deal in every single video. What they care about is if the value that they came for declines because of it.
Got it.
So, right. So like if you like Do Perfect, for example, 40 whatever million subscribers, almost every single one of their videos is sponsored.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't care because you're still going to get the value that you clicked expecting to get. Right. So it's what most creators do, unfortunately, is when it's sponsored, they have to kind of give up a little bit about they're trying to figure out how to make the video valuable, but still good for the brand. And that's the tension that they usually default to the brand because that's the brand wants, and the brand now, thankfully, are understanding that that's not really as good for them in the long run. But it's and then it's also saying no to brand deals that don't provide the value that you want to provide to your audience. So that's kind of one level. Sorry, go ahead, Cullen.
I was just gonna say it's mind blowing watching Dude Perfect, for instance, because even though they incorporate a brand deal, it's just like, how did they do that? And I'm still just like so enthralled in watching their channel even more. It's intriguing to see how they incorporate their brand deals because you don't even realize it because that value factor. But no, I was exactly what you're saying as far as when we've worked with other brands, like we have to straight up tell them most of the time, our audience isn't going to respond well to this. Like I know how our audience is going to work, so we don't change our persona or our personalities in a sense by saying this phrase or this tagline or whatever the talking point that they want, because I know it's going to look, or they want the thumbnail or the title to have this in the title. I'm like, I can do that, but I'm not going to guarantee views. It's not going to do well. Like it's not. Well,
you shouldn't do that because the more you do that, the more your audience is like sell out or like So you want the value of every piece of content to be high. The other thing the mistake creators make is they end up kind of just working with anything that feels fun to them, because most creators don't actually even know what value what they're trying to provide to people. It's just like, well, I'm just making videos of my life. I'm like, okay, well, who cares about that? Like, not in a sarcastic way, but like literally, who is it that cares about that thing? And they're like, well, and then they don't really know. And then we're like, well, if you don't know who you're trying to talk to on the camera and you don't know what value you're trying to provide, like you can still do vlogs, but hey guys, we tell stories as a family to blank, or stories that blank, or like still give your brand some kind of rails to run on. If you want to gain that momentum like a train does, like the tracks feel restrictive, but it's actually the thing that they need to keep all the momentum going in the same direction. So that means, like, for me, there are some things that I don't talk about on Video Creators or on our family's channel, which is now mostly just my wife's channel. It's been like a side project for so long, and now we're kind of starting to focus on it more this year, finally, after like whatever many years it's been. But yeah, so it's like really figuring that out. And there's a process you can go through to kind of figure that out, which we work through with our clients and things. But it's surprising, even big brands, like even Disney, for example, Disney parks. It's like, well, no one cares about your new exhibit or your roller coaster. Like, why? Who is it that cares, and why do they care? And long story short is, like, it's not really about because the wait line is down to this amount of time, or because you're featuring that character, or no one cares that it goes from this number, like miles per hour, to this speed and that many G-forces and that number per second, anything like that. We came down to this matter. Who is it? Like, who we're trying to target here? So they're like, okay, well, it's typically the mom of the family who's planning the trip. All right, let's go after the mom. What does she care about? Why does this matter to her? Oh, she cares about like the rest of her experience. Her story is that she goes to this job, the dad goes to this job, the kids are all in different schools, and they come home at the end of the day. The dad's working on email, she's working on this thing in the kitchen, whatever. The kids are in the rooms going home. Like, the family is just separated like all day long. And so for her, this is an opportunity for the family to come together once a year and have those remember when conversations they're going to have for the rest of their life. So this is actually about creating a shared experience and shared memories for the family. So now the whole entire channel and all the marketing stuff doesn't revolve around the exhibit and the coaster, the roller coaster, as much as it revolves around, look, you buy this package at Disney, we're going to give your family shared experiences. Here's one exhibit that you could do that in. Right? So so what I really loved about it is now like people are coming to work at Disney being like, I used to hate leaving my family every day to come to work, but now I come to work with like this new passion and energy because I know what I'm doing for other people's families, and there's like a reason behind it and a mission behind what we're doing. So does that make sense? It could be anything.
Like, I was about to ask you about like when you mentioned content strategy earlier, like what that entails, but that just probably explained it better than you meant to explain it to me.
Yeah, I can tell you so many of them. I mean, like beauty and makeup isn't about beauty and makeup. It's about giving women confidence. Home interior design isn't about placing this plant here and that thing on the wall there. It's about creating an environment where people feel like they belong. Right. Or it's not about your debt management software, right? Like the only people who are watching those tutorials are people who are frustrated with your software. They're already bought it. Right. So like, don't make tutorials about your software. Instead, like what your audience really wants, the value they want to consume is freedom. So make videos about financial freedom, not about click here, click there in our software. Right. So anyway, you get the idea. It's like, who is our audience and what do they actually want? And let's tell stories that help them become the hero in their own story.
What did you major in? Do you have any type of psychological background or business background?
No, my undergrad is in Bible and youth ministry, and my graduate, I went to seminary for family ministry. So yeah, it's all theology, nothing super practical.
I was going to ask, like, what got you into this? So I understand that you were, it was in the beginning, the MySpace days when the YouTube was just getting started, and how you got into it. But was this something that you were like passionate about? Was making movies? Was that one of your things that you loved to have the camera around? Filmmaking?
No, I love that question actually. So what happened is when my now wife, but then girlfriend and I were dating, I was a youth pastor at a church, and I loved doing that job because I just love seeing transformation happen in people's lives where they're like here and they go to here. And my youth group I was working with at the time had about like right after we got married. So that would have been like 2008 or 9 or something like that.
Better get that right.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was like almost a decade ago at this point, or over a decade. But yeah, so I loved reaching about 180 kids in our youth group, but at that time we were doing about 1 million people a month on our vlogging channel, I guess you'd call it, and
1 million views a month, watch time.
No, about 1 million views a month. This is way back when like million views a month was like a big deal. Now it's like, oh, whatever. And it's certainly declined a lot since then because it's always been kind of a side project for us. But the thing that got me excited about it is that we were hearing more stories of life change coming out of what we were doing from our videos on YouTube than I ever saw in 12 years of vocational time working inside a church. I'm not trying to dog the church necessarily. It's just kind of like if I was going to force to be like, where am I seeing – if I say that I love seeing people's lives change, where am I seeing that? In the church or outside the church in this YouTube thing? And for me, I was certainly seeing it outside the church on this YouTube thing. And so I got really excited about reaching more people, changing their lives. And I felt like, well, I'm reaching my 1 million people a month at that time. But what if I could help other people reach their 1 million people a month and help them reach their 1 million people? Like, what kind of impact could we all together have on the world, like this ripple effect? And so that's actually what we see behind me. If you're listening, I have these, what do you call them? Polaroids.
Polaroid, little pictures.
Of different people. And this is the people who work for me on my team and my family. And so I call it my ripple effect wall. Like, so I invest my time into those people who then invest their time into like our community with my family or our strategists who work with our clients and things like that. And then, so our goal is to help 10,000 creators reach 1 million people a month. And so far, we're up to 14 billion views and 61 million subscribers that we can take direct credit for helping our
Wow. That is quite an achievement.
Like, that's more people who are even on the planet now.
Yeah.
You know? So
that's
now
insane.
we're going for reaching everyone on the planet every month.
Okay, that's a good goal.
Some sort of message that can reach them and change their life. So that's to answer your question. That's what got me excited about YouTube and started investing this more into like, let me help other people grow so that like I only have one message. I can only maybe impact so many people, but like YouTube are reaching people that I'll never reach. So if I can help you reach more people, then I feel that like
the ripple effect. I like
that.
I love that answer because it's funny. I was just watching y'all's vlogs and Katie was talking about going back to work
versus the impact she has. Yeah,
right,
I was just about to say
the impact that she has. She was saying like I could go back and be in a doctor and sit in an office in a chair and somebody come in and me talk to that person one-on-one, and that would be great, and I would be doing a service to that person, but I could do a service to 8,000, 10,000 people by putting out this one piece of content and then help all these other people that are just sitting at home on their couch, you know? And I just thought that was so interesting that was your answer. It's like, yeah, that makes a great point. It's like, why would you go back to doing that when you could reach more people, do what you're passionate about?
Can you guys read that on my cup?
Glimpses of a better world is on
that's kind of our mission. Yeah, so for video creators, our mission is to like create glimpses of a better world, not just ourselves, but through other people who will reach people we'll never otherwise reach. So
that is so interesting. Kind of going back to your value, I guess. And I remember, I don't know, just in that day and age when the brand deals were still kind of taboo to talk about, and it's like, oh, you're a sellout if you do brand deals and this, that, and the other. Any business related question, you were the first person I thought about. I was like, oh, Tim Shmoyer will answer this. Let me hit him up real quick. And you did. We've sat and chit chatted several times at conventions and just in texts about certain things. But there was one time that you said something, or you suggested, and this kind of goes to my next question for you, is the diversification, kind of the ripple effect, I guess, that you've created within your subdivision. You know, you when you talk in a video, you also link to your ebook or your other stuff, kind of like what you were saying about the lawyer. But you like referenced or suggested that Katie do like a Cooking with Katie Pie cookbook online or something where you could charge people or something like that to get that income, you know, have other sources of income flowing in different ways.
Cash in. Yeah, what are some good ways
to
like
cash
how do you how do you capture the value?
But the thing is like I simply just asked him, and that was his first thing, and I was like, oh my god, like a freaking Cooking with Katie Pie cookbook that you could just link to and charge $5.99. Like, how have I not thought of this already? And he, like, that was just off the top of his head, and that was he didn't even. It's just like content strategy is in your blood.
Yeah.
How have you fared with that?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes, and I think if I remember correctly back then, wasn't Katie doing some like cooking videos?
Yeah.
Right?
Her channel's growing pretty big. Yeah, and she's doing we're getting a lot of traction on the cooking videos back then.
Yeah, is she still doing those? Pardon my
kind of just here and there. We still get a love on them when we do them, but
that's the Katie on the flip side channel.
Yeah, on her.
My guess is that now no one is subscribing and watching for recipes. So to do a recipe video, then sell them a book might not be quite the one-to-one that you would get. So let me use myself as an example instead. I think that once you know what the value is that you're trying to deliver, and you're delivering that, let's say you're delivering 1x that value in a video, but people really want more of this value, so they keep coming back and watching you, then you have to sell 10x that value in a format that they're willing to pay for. So I'll use myself as an example, which is like an educational type content, and then we'll maybe use entertainment, which might be more like your space, like an entertainment type example. So for me, this is my actual math. So I'll give you guys my actual numbers here. If I do a video and publish it to YouTube saying like, here's how you grow a channel in 2020, blah, blah, blah. I personally get somewhere in the range of like a couple dollars per 1,000 views. Okay. Mm-hmm. Nothing super awesome. But at the end of that video, I give really good value that people are there for. And then at the end of it, I'll say, hey, if you want to take this to the next level and you really want a step-by-step process that's going to help you grow your channel, I have this guide for you. It's 30 days to a better YouTube channel. This is my actual pitch, just so you know it's not super heavy-handed. It is like every day is going to give you a lesson, something you need to learn, give you a task, something you need to do right then on your channel, and then links to further resources. If you're interested in learning more, link down below, interactive card, like whatever. And that's it. What was that, like 10, 12 seconds or something?
Yeah.
Not super hardcore pitch. I'll convert about 1% of the audience to a sale when I do that. So for 1,000 views, that means I generated approximately 10 sales. At the time, I charged $30 for it. And so that's $300 for the same 1,000 views that YouTube was just giving me a couple dollars for.
Wow.
So pretty quickly, you don't really care about AdSense anymore. In fact, my overall revenue right now, all channels combined, all AdSense and everything combined, only I think it's like 6.5% of our overall revenue from our business on YouTube. So that makes sense. Like the AdSense thing doesn't really matter. The only way ads work is because you have some small budget that's being split. It's being cut between too many people's hands by the time it gets to you.
Right.
So I'd rather just go, if my audience, like if someone's going to pay you $5,000 for a brand deal, for example, it's because they're banking on that promotion earning them probably $25,000. But I'm thinking like,
that hurts to hear.
I'm like, if my audience is worth, like that's the only way that math works, right? Like they're not looking for a one-to-one exchange. Like it's only going to work because they're going to get more. Your audience is worth more than they're paying you for. So if my audience is worth $25,000, for example, I would rather just make the thing myself that I know is exactly what they need, that is exactly aligned with the value I'm providing, that is actually I'm confident is going to help change their life and help them move forward with that value. Like I sell way differently when I actually believe in this thing,
right,
as opposed to when I'm getting paid to promote it. And I think that comes across. And also then I learned how to actually sell and not just make this assumption that if I mention something, it's going to work out well for the brand. So I can tell brands, like when I do it this way, here's the data on how it converts. If I do it this way, here's the data on how it doesn't convert or whatever. And so that makes my brand deals worth a lot more too, because I can show, like one brand told us, Tim, we worked with a lot of different brands. You were the smallest creator we worked with, but your audience converted 18 times higher than the largest channel we worked with. So that's why I can charge pretty big
shove
numbers.
it, suckers.
But it's because I learned how to sell because I was forced to by selling my own thing.
Well, and it seems like you know your audience. Like that's got to be a big part of it, right? So for somebody that's opened analytics probably twice in the last 2 years I've been doing this. I mean, how do you find out what the people that are watching you are interested in? I mean, I know you get comments and stuff, but that's only a small percent of the people that are watching. Like, how do you know what's valuable to them?
So I would not go to your analytics to figure that out, because we're going to get there is like some sort of generic 18 to 65-year-old who lives somewhere in the U.S.
25 to 35-year-old women.
Yeah, you are more specific than that. But what you really want to do is you need to understand this person's story. Okay, so I'll go, and I want to give you an entertainment example that'll hopefully be more applicable to you guys. But let me try to go through this. I'll go through this really quickly, which is there's 7 parts to any good story if you heard like a 3-act structure. So on one level, every video like Cullen and Katie that you guys make should answer each of these questions in this order for the viewer, which is 1, who is the character? 2, what do they want? 3, why can't they have what they want? 4, what's at stake if they don't get what they want? Number 5, who or what comes along and helps them do what they couldn't do before? Number 6, how does the character ultimately get what they wanted? And then 7, this is the difference between a story people like and a story that people love, is how is the character transformed because of all these obstacles they had to work through. Okay, so it's not like, oh, they got what they want. It's like they got what they want and they are a different person now. That's what they really want to see. Okay, so you're talking about the money and the debt thing right now. Like that's exactly that story.
I was about to just say that. Like this, my mouth just was wide open when you were saying that. Like, oh my God, this is why it's like
this is why
overflowing right now.
Yeah, those stories, like you're following unintentionally maybe, but there's those elements are built in, right? So I'm just saying do it intentionally and do it in that order, and don't forget the things people normally forget are the stakes. Like what's at stake if I don't get what I want, and then the transformation. People just like, I got it, video's over. But you got to hit that. Okay, so on one level, every video needs to do that. But to answer your question about the audience, your audience also is a character who wants something, who can't have it. There's something at stake if they don't. And then your video plays the role of question number 5, which is, so who or what comes along and helps them do what they couldn't do before. And so they're watching your content because your story connects with their story in some way and helps them get what they couldn't get before, because ultimately your viewer wants to experience some sort of transformation in their own life. And so they'll watch your debt-free journey and you paying off credit cards and saying no to things you used to say yes to and making hard decisions, because that is helping them do the same thing maybe in their story or something. Okay. So the answer to the question is like, you got to answer those 7 questions about your most ideal viewer, your most ideal subscriber. And then you end up attracting that person to your channel because you're making content that's resonating exactly with them in their story. So it's a little less about demographic and income levels and things, and a little bit more about desire and the thing that this person actually wants, the value they want to consume, who wants it, why do they want it. And so when you talk to that camera, now you're crafting a video that's designed exactly for that person and their story, and now they're watching the whole thing through, and they're watching every video you make, and they're telling their friends, and they're coming back for more. So does that part make sense?
So intriguing. I'm gonna have to
I should have brought my notepad.
Yeah, I'm gonna snip that. I'm gonna have to listen to that again because that is just so intriguing.
To build value. I think that we've talked about that before.
We've talked about it, but like the way he just explained it makes so much more sense than just like saying, you know, this is what you offer. I mean, that's just crazy. Yeah, because recently we've, like you said, have talked about the debt stuff on our channel, and just seeing the interaction, I guess, the personable interaction, the comments that are like this long versus the over 500, still the 300 that I still have. I'm trying to get all through the approvals, but like they used to be this long and only 30 of them, and now it's just like. And it's me and Katie
relatable.
It's relatable, but I think like he's saying, like it's the 7 steps in that whole process that's happening that's making it relatable. It's not that me and Katie are any more relatable than somebody else talking about it. It's just that we just happen to hit that, like they want that same value in there. And that's how many comments there are that are just like, I'm on this, I just was wanting to get on this journey too. Thank y'all for, you know, and it's all about the group as a whole.
So if you're a YouTuber and you don't have, you're not going through something like relatable like that, like debt and whatever.
Creating a story is huge.
Creating a story, like what, like okay, for me, I'm just a pregnant lady with a baby.
That's a good 9-month story.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, so how practically do you shoot this? So it is, you wake up in the morning. Are you just making videos about your day?
Yeah, well, I mean about my life, but it's not. I've never done the daily thing. There's no way. I have no idea how y'all do that. Like,
we don't anymore.
But no, it's just like what's been going on this week and the exciting points of our life through that week that I feel like getting a video camera out and vlogging about. But it's like I found a lot of the women that most of the people that will watch my channel is women that are, you know, mothers are going through the same things, right? That are relatable to me, which are, you know, pregnant, or they're big fans of babies, and you know that are in that mentality, that mommy mentality. But it's like, how do I build a story every day? Like I go to the store and I get groceries and I bring them home and cook them and eat. Like how does that? You know what I mean?
Okay, so I would. It takes a little bit of planning.
Okay.
But this is gonna sound maybe a little bit too pie in the sky, but I believe that the same things that make for telling a good story are the same elements that make for a story that's worth living. Okay. So it means like you got to live a better story, not to borrow Donald Miller's thing, and not just tell a better story. So what that means, I know it sounds like really weird, but hold on for a second.
It's like
you wake up in the morning.
Life.
So you wake up in the morning and you want something. And so I would just simply be like, what do I want today? Like out of day. When I go to bed tonight, what do I want?
Usually
and then,
involves food right now.
Right.
Like,
sure, food. Okay. I just want to go to bed not hungry, right? Or this craving. I'm just really craving mayonnaise and graham crackers or whatever.
I'm so pregnant right now.
Yeah, whatever.
Like all I'm thinking about, I want pickles today.
So
okay.
Just think through, like, what do I want? Why can't I have what I want? What happens? Like, what's at stake if I don't get it? Like if I get through today and I'm still hungry, like, well, I'm gonna be angry, and my husband's gonna like not talk to me, and I'm gonna lash out on my other child, which makes me feel bad as a parent. I don't want to do that, like whatever, right? So what's at stake if you don't get that thing? And then why can't you get it? Well, I can't get out to the store to buy this thing I'm really craving for because now he's got to take this nap, and now he's feeling sick, and like this thing's happening today, and then your husband comes home and he's too tired to let you go out or whatever, and then so it's like climaxing to like, is she going to get this thing she wants? Yes or no? And then at the end of the day, it's like, did she get it or did she not? And if she didn't, did the stakes actually happen? And if she did, how did she get it? And, and going back to point number 5, it's like, well, who or what came along? Well, maybe Katie comes over and watches your kid for a second, or more
brings
than
a casserole or something.
Yeah, like someone comes along, helps you do what you couldn't do before. And then how are you like, like how are you transformed now that you've gotten the food that you really want?
So happy.
So it sounds like a simple story, but when you do it that way and you're intentionally filming, like now you don't have to film everything in your day. You just know this is the story I'm filming, and you're just telling those parts. Now, there's something that happens too for vloggers is sometimes you think you want this thing at the beginning of the day, but then something happens. There's no way you could have foreseen this thing happening.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, like, now what do you do? So I would just keep capturing B-roll through the whole day. And then at the end, sit down and use as much of that footage as you can, but shoot some voiceover stuff that like while you're showing some B-roll that kind of fills the gap or makes a transition from like, here's the thing I wanted and why I couldn't have it. And then you show the next clip. So sometimes you tell the story, you get to the end of the day and you look back on the story and you can change it. But it works out much better if you kind of have an idea at the beginning of the day, what do I want? And you're tracking through the 7 points.
I mean, just as you're saying that, like I know exactly what I want at the end of the day. Every day, I want a clean house, a fat and happy family. I want everybody to be fed, clean. What I mean?
So you elaborate on that throughout the day.
A lot. I don't want a lot. I just want.
But there's always things that are holding you back, right? And so it's focusing on the why can't I get this diaper changed right now?
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, end scene, there you are in the bed, just eating your ice cream.
Trying to clean up the house, and I just mopped it, and she dumped her orange juice.
Or would you recommend like y'all stay tuned to see how this turns out and make it a 2-part video series? You know what I mean? Like a dangle
but every video needs to have that like transformation in it for the viewer to feel satisfied. Right. Otherwise, you just leave them feeling angry.
True.
That's not great for you.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this lazy bum didn't she didn't clean the house. She's hungry. She's pissed off.
Oh, I didn't see
like,
well, one of the
I never thought of my life as a story until now, but like every day, literally, as he's talking, I'm like, I like you, man, because every day, it makes sense to me. Because every day I have a story. I know that there's something I wanted to accomplish that day. Like I've done podcasts almost every day this week. There's all these things that I wanted to accomplish.
Like even the other day, before we filmed that one podcast the other day, and then I had the heating guy come over to our house, and you texted me, and I was supposed to be here in 30 minutes, and I was like, oh shoot, we had a heater go out, whatever.
The rent in
you
the
could have been vlogging and been like, I'm supposed to be
vlogging right now, but Cullen's not here yet.
I'm supposed to be podcasting with Cullen, but his heater broke, and my baby's done, because you texted me and you said she's about
to wake up from this nap, and we're gonna miss the window.
And so you can even show that text on the screen. Like I just texted him, and then I come in, and then we get our podcast done, and you update him on the baby situation, and then at the end of so you could almost have like more than one story, I guess, within the day.
They're gonna be making babies
don't
out of
complicate
me by the end of it. I'm inspired.
A good story, like a sitcom, will have 2 in there typically, and then they kind of both culminate together at the end. But that takes a pretty different level of skill to pull that off.
True, but it's like, where do you draw the line between doing that and then being fake? You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's real life, I guess. With you, like what you're doing is your daily.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I can really take any of it from is from what's actually going on with my life, because I'm stay-at-home mom. It's not like I'm going around town. creating these situations. It's like I gotta get creative and do it from home, and I want to be realistic, and I want to be a real person and relatable in that way. And that's always been my mentality, is like, hey, this is me, we're eating pot roast for dinner. Like, that's what Mark.
Well, one thing to consider is that it's not always external conflict. Sometimes it's internal conflict.
Yes.
You know, and so like even if your whole day, like I got the baby changed on time, I got everything cleaned up, and I got like everything, like there were like seemingly no obstacles, you're still probably wrestling with something inside.
Yeah.
That somebody watching is as well.
Yeah.
Or has.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because Katie and Katie's sister and brother-in-law were vlogging, and she was a stay-at-home mom, and she was like, "Oh, I don't have any content. I have to wait till the kids get home from school. All I literally do is clean up. I mean, all she literally does, quote unquote, like she does everything around the house, cleans up, does the laundry, does this, that, the other. But she had that same conflict internally to herself, and was letting me and Katie know about it. And I was like, well, set up the tripod and do a montage of you folding the laundry, and then talk about, you know, how you categorize your clothes and stuff like that, to break up just the same, oh, the kids are home from school, here we go, you know.
It helps too when you know who your target audience is, and you know what they want, and then some, like that helps give you a lot more direction in terms of where should I look for content in my life or things around me, rather than just like assuming that people are only watching for the kids, which is hard because when the kids grow up, then your channel starts declining. You know?
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, that was actually one of the questions I had for you today, is about YouTube and the whole kid. Yeah, was it Kappa? Like, what do you think? What's your take on that? I mean, I don't think my audience is kids. I think it's women like my age that are going through the same thing as me, stage of life.
But it's kind of a touchy
but it's supposed
subject.
to be like a family friendly. I don't curse on my channel or anything like that. You know what I mean? And I have a baby, and so it's like, where do you? What's going on? Give us the inside scoop, because I feel like you probably know more. The
family vlog thing is kind of like a gray-ish area. But my take, and this isn't like legal expertise or anything, but my take on it is that the FTC will not be focusing on the gray areas. It'll be like, is this clearly child directed or not?
Like the toy channels and stuff, and
phonics, ABCs, and stuff like that. So if there's an argument to be made that I am actually targeting moms here, not kids, like you can have kids watching, like Dude Perfect, for example. They are there. You could make an argument, like you go to their stadium events, it is like mostly junior high boys and their parents. But I like Dude Perfect.
I do too. I love them. They're trick shots.
Yeah,
they do all these insane trick shots.
Okay,
if you didn't know.
Yeah, so they could make an easy argument, like there's nothing in our content that makes it apparent or obvious that we are trying to target kids who are under 13 years old.
You just sell Nerf footballs and stuff in Target.
But still, I love their football. Yeah. And then you go from there. I imagine, like, okay, you looked at your information, you're like, okay, most of the people that like us, it's not that they're targeting those that age group, but because that is their age group that like them, then they're going to sell the Nerf ball, right? That's how that worked out, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I think we're only 2 weeks into this thing now, but the data that we've seen so far from Made for Kids content, and I can send you, Cullen, a whole link if you want to read more about it. But basically, the too long didn't read is that, like, the sky's not falling. There's been like a 0.6% change in terms of traffic, and it seems like the million-plus subscriber channels are still doing just fine, if not better. The smaller ones have taken a little bit more of a hit. But is that because because of their size, or in my opinion, more likely is due to most of the smaller creators just gave up and stopped trying when they started, they just changed direction or they got scared, and so like they kind of prematurely switched directions. Now we are only 2 weeks into it, so it's a little too early to tell. But so far, the sky's not falling.
That's interesting, because when it all did start coming out early on, we were, as a family vlogging channel, and the word family being in there, and or kid related or whatever the term was, me and Katie were freaking out, like, oh my god, like we've had games playing with Orbeez, and we've had her playing with all these little unicorn and in the thumbnail and that kind of thing. But we started we're like, how can we still incorporate? And I guess this goes back to the value thing. And we looked at our audience, and this was way before the debt stuff even came up. That naturally just came up. That wasn't even due to I don't even know. We talked about that last night. We're like, why did we even start talking about this out of nowhere? And then all of a sudden it's just booming, it seems, in that aspect. But me and Katie were talking about, instead of focusing on the kids getting ready for school necessarily, or showing the whole process of the day, make it more valuable for the audience that we do have, and show have Katie show tips and tricks on how she packs their lunch, and or gets their clothes ready the night before for school. So it's more targeted towards the parents, not the kids that may be watching. So there we would have that valid argument if we did get hit or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It's when this type of stuff happens, I think it's worth asking, like, this person who's talking about doom and gloom, do they stand to benefit from this message? And if the answer is yes in some way, then you're like, maybe I should look at a different source. And I did want to be careful how much I said that out loud when everyone's freaking out. And I did say it, but I'm like, here's the legitimate concerns, and here's like the doom and gloom that gets everyone hyped up. But that's the stuff that will take, be careful what I say, but that's what will take people from like no one knowing about them to a couple million views in like a few days. And so but it's not because of the hype. It's because they're following a good story. There's a character who wants something. They feel like the stakes are really high now, and they might not get this thing they actually wanted. Mm-hmm. And so everyone gets really involved at that point when the stakes are super high. Yeah. Like, now, not only will I lose my channel, but I might get sued by like $47,000 or whatever per video.
Demonetized.
So, ridiculous.
That's why it's the same principle that make that go real big. But yeah, it's not as big as.
Sorry. I was going to say, we seem to have a lot in common as far as our path to where we are in this day and age. And kind of referencing back to the debt thing, you've done the debt-free scream, right?
Yeah, we've been debt-free for 12, 13 years now or something.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
you have 7 kids
and 8 employees.
I need to get on.
And he's self-employed. Like, he is his own. Like, he's in his own freaking house right now. Like, you were living the dream. This is amazing.
Thank you.
We
went through the same process. Yeah, we did the same process you guys are going through. We're Financial Peace University facilitators now, and we've walked through that with a lot of people. And I actually now get to work with Dave Ramsey's YouTube channel as a client. So
wow, that's amazing.
Not all of it,
but
you get some input on some of that stuff, which has been cool. But yeah, we did that same journey. And so when your video popped up on our home screen, before I texted you, was that last week or something?
Yeah.
I was like, we were intrigued because that's part of our story. And we were like, and so the same thing. It wasn't because the title and thumbnail was super like use magic keywords or anything. It was about the human connection, the emotion that it elicited in the viewer. And
that's crazy.
So we're like, that connects with my story. And so we wanted to watch, and then even prompted me to just text you rather than commenting. But
that is amazing.
I get that privilege.
That privilege.
Okay, with something, I have a question. Like,
awesome.
with YouTube and this industry and what y'all are doing, and just the fact that it has become a job and the source of income for so many people, whereas when you first started, no one even really knew what YouTube was. So it's become this giant thing. But it seems like it's very like up and down. What would you say, like if somebody wanted to kind of make a career out of doing YouTube and doing videos, video creators or whatever? Do you say, okay, well, there's it's very wishy-washy. You never know. Like in 5 years, it could all go to hell. You know what I mean? Like, where do you,
especially in 2020, like, is it
what do you
worth
predict
it?
happening?
Is it worth it to start a new channel in 2020 to make this your full time?
Right, because it seems so saturated, and like there's so many
know.
people doing it. Like, I mean, what do you say to the naysayers? Like, oh, there's no way. There's
But
too
like
many
Gary
people on
V,
YouTube. No one will ever find me.
The Gary V-isms is like the internet is here, and like you could make a living doing anything with the internet. I don't know. What's your
with the right business model?
Yeah.
So I don't look at YouTube as I don't know.
You're not a YouTuber.
Question. I'm not a YouTube fanboy. No, I'm a like Change Lives fanboy, and I just happen to think YouTube's a great place to do that for a lot of different reasons. But so I think the biggest mistake when people, if they want to turn this into something, is they have come to YouTube or Instagram or podcasting. It doesn't really matter, just any of these platforms, with this employee mindset, which is this idea that my job is to work hard and put in the time, and it's the platform's job to pay me for it. And so if you go to YouTube with that expectation, like, you are going to get burned every single time, because it takes way more work, way more time and energy and resources than you think it does. The people, just like musicians make music look really, like good ones make it look really easy, or athletes, you're like, I could have caught that pass. You know? Like,
that's my husband. Like, whatever. Like, I should be in the NFL.
Yeah. But what you don't see is like all the work and training that went in to get them there, right? So instead of approaching like employee, you really do have to approach any of these platforms as like an entrepreneur or a business owner, which is the mindset is, my job is to create and deliver and capture value. And I can do that through any of those platforms, even you're like a blog or a website. It doesn't really matter where you do that, but it's just thinking in those terms. And so if the value is in connecting with people, then it's not YouTube's job because they're suppressing me. Like, the YouTube algorithm's job is to actually surface the right video to the right person at the right time. And so if your videos aren't getting surfaced, it's not because YouTube is suppressing you. It's because your content isn't good enough, just to be honest. Like, it's just not connecting yet. And so hopefully some of the things we talked about here will help change some of that. But so it's like, you got to come at it with a business mentality of like, how am I going to create, deliver, and capture value? And then it's the responsibilities on me, rather than like, I work really hard and YouTube's not paying me enough.
Yeah. And on your channel, you go into even more micro-managing this type of, like, the intro, the 15-second hook to get people there. I can honestly say,
like, that step by step. I gotta go get your book.
Yeah, like, just subscribe to video creators, because I mean, he literally will step you through any. You type in, I've literally typed in like, how to do this, Tim Shmoyer video creators, and boom, there's a video. You've already talked about it like a year ago. But just the hook of, you tell them what you're going to tell them why you told them, or that kind of business or video strategy. But
my husband's always telling me, he's always going, Britany, you got to stop titling it, Sophia's Day at the Park. You got to be like Baby's Day at the Park, or something that more generically over time does better. Or how to cook a casserole.
Not more generic. You want to go more emotional.
More emotional.
More on the story side.
Not timeless.
Like, the way to think about it is
the way I thought.
Because Baby's First Day at the Park, the people who are going to watch that are the people who care about your baby and your experience so far. Mm-hmm. But if you want to grow, you have to get the people who've never heard of you before. They're not going to click. Like, you can maybe keep some of your subscribers engaged with that, and so it's really good for your community. But if the goal is growth, you got to think someone who is this person I'm going after, target audience. What value are they trying to consume? And then how do I pitch that in a title and thumbnail in a way that they would click and watch, even if they've never heard of me, don't care about me yet, and make that video. So and I haven't seen the content obviously, but it's like more like Baby's first slide, but the tension that's created in the brain is the thumbnail, which is maybe your baby at the top of the slide looking like scared. And now is the story: does the baby get what she wants or not? Does she go down? Right?
This is
that makes so sense.
I do it naturally, I think, with some of the stuff I do over the just self-taught years of being in this whole community. But I haven't thought about it like this, like you're explaining. So now I'm like on a whole different mindset, which is very,
it matters. That kind of stuff matters if you want to grow your channel and like get people to click on it. And you keep saying like, you got to find out what's valuable to the people that watch you. It's like, well, how do you find that out? What do you comment them and ask them, or like be like, hey, guys.
We do a survey once a year, and we just say like every January, hey, we want to make the best content that's gonna be most helpful for you. Got a quick survey below. Just give us your feedback. I want to get to know you better and what you need this coming year. If you don't mind.
That's a good idea.
And so we'll do that. Leave it up for about a week, and then make the video unlisted. Post on Instagram and stuff too. No incentives or anything. Just like our core audience.
You do ask for the email though, right? You got to get their email.
It's optional. We make it optional for them.
Okay.
But we don't sign them up to any lists or anything. We ask for it in case, like, could we follow up with you about your story if we want to kind of dig into this some more? And almost everyone's like, yes, please call me. Here's my phone number and my address too.
But so that gives you a general brainstorming idea of what is more focused on, what your audience is more focused on.
I never thought about asking people to do a survey before, but this is why I'm just not very good at this. But I'm going to get better now. I feel like a boost of confidence for my story. I want to go write down the 7 things that I'm going to do today.
Well, cool, man. I wanted to touch on how's the 7 kids and Dana doing? Yes. How's the family doing real quick?
Pretty good. Our youngest just turned 2. And our oldest is 10.
Insane. I was on the stage.
They're just like what we want. I want 5, and everybody thinks I'm crazy. And he's got 7, so it can be done.
Was it a gender reveal or name reveal? Gender reveal, I think.
It was a gender reveal.
He did a gender reveal, and I was on the stage with you at that.
That was on Periscope. You were doing it too, I think.
Oh yeah, Periscope. Remember that thing? For you, I think, or something.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you had your camera and my phone, like one in each hand, and you're periscoping them both.
I forgot about that.
I watched one of your name reveals because I just did a name reveal for my baby, and so I watched your name reveal, and there was like all these vloggers that I saw on there that I've seen. I was like, oh, there's 8 passengers. There's Ellie and Jared.
Yeah.
Doing your letters and stuff for your baby. I was like, that's such a great idea. Like, and the fact that you were like collaborating with
the collaboration is another
people while you're doing. And I was like, oh, that's such a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was for our last kid. Yeah, but yeah, we're all doing good. We homeschool our kids too, so
we are. What in the heck? I forgot about that too.
I homeschool them from about 8:30 to 10:30 every morning. Start work around 11ish, work till 5, and then sometimes working some more after dinner, depending on what Dana's doing, but or after bedtime. But yeah, like we're doing good. We are trying a new thing this year: no screen time for our kids.
All year.
So all year,
Holy
0 screen
cow.
time, except for they get to watch like their math lesson video every Monday. But other than that,
that is very intriguing. We've noticed a big difference emotionally in our kids when we don't do it during the week at all, except maybe after tonight, after my daughter has gymnastics, she'll come home and get like just a few minutes. But as soon as they have that screen in front of them, there's like a switch flips, and they just turn into this little demon child. And it's like, okay, it's time to cut it off. Like, you can tell
just
when they
multiply that by 7.
Wait, I didn't know that. So you're not supposed to let my baby was watching Baby Bums earlier. She's only a year old.
That's I don't know. That's maybe a different scenario. But like,
no screen time.
Our kids get into this funk the more they watch the TV. Yeah, okay. And so we've cut off screen time, and then on the weekends it's like, and we call it no TV time, I guess, or even in the car on the way to school we don't turn on the DVD players. And so now it's almost flipped to where it was like oh man, to now it's like a reward to have TV time when we do allow it. They're like, yay, we get TV time. Like, it's mentally they've had it adjusted in their mind about like, oh wow, if I do this, do I get TV time? Yeah, it's like dessert. Yeah. But no, the psychological.
You're brave, man.
That is crazy.
I imagine the 10-year-old's like, what?
We were talking about this, my wife and I. We had date night and last night, and I was like, I think the thing, and this is gonna sound super arrogant. I don't mean it this way, but hopefully it's helpful. I think the thing that kind of like has separated us from most other people that we know is that we're willing to delay gratification. We're willing to like you guys. We're gonna live on beans and rice for all this time and say no to all these things so we can pay off debt, which then put us in a financial place to be able to take the risk of starting this business and doing those other things, right? And we're and homeschooling is not like gratifying every day, right? But we're willing to do it because we think that there's this bigger reward at the end of it for doing this. So
I don't think
same
that's
with like
arrogant
not
at all. I think that's
going
like
after
logical.
business. Well, I just say because some people have a hard time with delayed gratification.
Totally, yeah.
And I think that this screen time thing for our kids falls into that category of like there's days when my wife's like, I just need a screen, for these kids. And now we say no to that, and she's saying no to that. And we're only like a few weeks into it, but we, like you guys can already see like this big difference. And we did a lot of research in the psychological and clinical data about like the impact it has on child development and all that kind of stuff. So, and it seems to take about a year to actually detox for kids. So we are just saying, like, all right, we're going to go a year, and then we're going to reintroduce it, but like once every other week or something like that. So cool. I think if anyone feels like, man, I wish I could be like Cullen and Katie, or I wish I could be like Tim, or, I wish we could have this big YouTube channel. It's like, it's just, I think the difference is we put in a lot of hard work that people don't see.
They don't.
And most people won't do because the payoff isn't as immediate as we want it to be. So I think that's
crazy. So you, you're going to start this story on the Reclaiming Motherhood channel of the No Screen Time?
Yeah, so we're finally, that's the same channel I started when I first uploaded my first video on March 2nd, 2006. And it's always just kind of been like, we've done family thing. We've given different levels of energy to it, but it's, I've always had other jobs and I've always had other things going on. So now that my wife is kind of coming out of the postpartum stuff after baby number 7, it was the past couple pregnancies have been really dark for her.
Yeah, and I've been following that a little bit.
Yeah, almost to the point like I didn't know if we were gonna, like, she got pregnant again. I don't think she'll make it. So we're just like, we can't do this. But now she's coming out of the fog after a few years. Now she's like, I never want to go through that again, but I think I have something to share with other moms who are currently in that place. And I want to encourage them. And so she wants to help them reclaim motherhood as like, motherhood is actually, we actually believe it's a blessing to have children. And we think that the reward is worth it, but it doesn't feel that way in the middle of it sometimes. So her target audience are those overwhelmed, underappreciated moms who have 2 or 3 kids. If they have 3, the oldest is going to be around 6 years old, but she's probably more in the 2 and 3 year old range. And she's in that spot. And so we want to tell stories and create content that helps encourage them. And we have a whole business model we're going to launch around it and stuff too.
He's already got the numbers and the age groups and everything that he's already targeted. And I got chills when you're saying that, like coming out of the fog again and just like reclaiming mother, like, because being in that as the husband, I know. Yeah. Like the excitement and the relief and everything that comes with it. So I'm excited for that.
That's right up my alley.
Super excited.
I got to tune in for those. Yeah. Because I just went through the postpartum and I'm scared having it for this next baby.
Man.
But that's interesting. I'm excited to see where that takes.
So that's on Reclaiming Motherhood. Where else can they find you? You got the video creators?
That's more my wife's stuff. Yeah, and then I'm more on video creators. I get excited about the Reclaiming Motherhood stuff, though, because it's gonna be like if video creators is kind of working with, there's probably around 100,000 active YouTube creators who speak English in terms of my total audience size. But for Reclaiming Motherhood, there's like millions of moms who feel like they don't know who they are anymore. They lost their identity. The whole world just revolves around kids, and so that could potentially be way bigger than video creators ever was or is.
Yeah, right.
So. And part of the business model around that is actually to provide a lot of employment opportunities in our business for moms who need something flexible at home online that revolves around nap time and stuff. So not only are we going to try to create this content, but we actually want to help solve some of their financial struggles that they deal with through this.
And then you got the where do I apply? And then like without the screen time, I'm sure she's going to look into different resources as far as like arts and crafts and stuff, like doing on the other side of boredom is creativity type stuff.
That's right. It is, yeah.
Like so you can pull that into your business model too, I would imagine. That is very, very exciting and intriguing. You are
inspiring.
I just love talking to you and get so
much. Let's
do
it more often. Let's not wait 6 years or whatever it's been.
When you sent me that text the other day, I was already feeling like just so shamed and like I was like, oh my God, this sucks. Like I hate having to do this, even though we didn't have to necessarily. It just happened naturally. But like Then I get that text, and then here we are a week later on this podcast. It's just, we need to talk more. This is good.
I didn't even know if it was still your number.
Yeah. This is good stuff, man.
Well, it's so nice to meet you.
Well, wait a minute now. What's your Don't Tell Mom story before we wrap this thing up?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make it real quick. So we used to go camping a lot as a kid, and we were camping, and this one time my parents were out on the jog or something like that. And at this time I was oldest of 4, and so my little sister, who I think was probably around like 6-ish, me and my other brothers, we were standing around trying to look cool, and by that meant is we would take a paper plate, roll it up like a really big cigar, light it in the campfire, and we would smoke the paper plate. Except for we weren't inhaling, we were blowing through the paper plate, and it would just like disappear. So we thought we looked real cool. And then we gave it to my little sister. She didn't know we were blowing. She took a deep inhale, and that paper plate just disappeared down her throat.
Oh my God!
And we were all like, all my brothers and I stood around wide-eyed, like, oh my God! She was like choking and coughing. We're like, is she gonna make it? Like, and we have never told our mothers that we did that to our little sister.
That is hilarious.
Oh, poor sister.
The visual there, I just see it. That's good.
Did you have to coach her though? Like, don't tell mom. Whatever you do, don't tell mom.
No, I think we were all like, let's like everyone just kind of knew. And I think by the time my parents got home, my sister forgot it or something like that.
Right.
The other thing that I'm more in a, well, I won't tell the other story. Never mind.
No, you got to now.
I'll tell you guys offline if you want to know.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Thank you so much for taking your time. Yes. I know after hearing everything you just said, how busy you are. So I know it's.
I'm like pumped up. I know. I'm ready to go do a vlog.
I know, right? Write it out.
Good.
Yes, thank you, Tim. It's been a pleasure
so
talking
much
with
for
you
everything.
today.
Thanks for having
Thank you
me,
all
guys.
for listening, and definitely go check out Tim.
Yeah, links are below both channels. Instagram, is it Video Creators on Instagram as well, and Twitter and all that?
Yeah.
Sweet. I'll link everything below. Y'all go check it out if you want to learn some. And just be a better person overall, because this guy's got it all figured out, I think.
Yeah, leave a voice message and tell us who you are and what you want us to make content about.
We'll make a survey somehow or another. I don't know.
Love that. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for coming
Tim.
on.
We appreciate it,
Thank
man.
y'all so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hang tight,
2 times
Tim. Hang
Tuesday.
tight. Peace.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Peace.